In our last analysis, ladies and gentlemen, we saw how Fred Matiang'i was building a serious wave that threatened to change Kenya's 2027 political picture. I also analyzed how his name brought hope to Gusii people and the opposition as a whole. But at the same time, we saw cracks forming whereby leaders shifting camps, State House trying to divide regions, and Raila's balancing act leaving Matiang'i in the cold. Now today, I want us to go deeper. We ask ourselves, what really killed Matiang'i's momentum? Why has his wave weakened so fast? And can he still defeat President William Ruto in 2027? Welcome back to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dalmas, and in this analysis, I want us to talk about the death of Matiang'i wave. At one point, Matiang'i was the hope of the Gusii region and even seen as a possible presidential candidate. People respected him for his no-nonsense leadership style when he was interior CS. But today, his political influence seems to be fading. I'll also break down what went wrong, the role of Governor Simba Arati in weakening Fred Matiang'i, and whether this is the end or just a setback before a comeback. After 2022 elections, Fred Matiang'i had a clean political brand. He was not tainted by scandals, and his strong performance as the CS gave him credibility. Gusii leaders and opposition supporters saw him as a man who could stand to defeat President Ruto. In fact, at some point, he was seen as Raila's natural successor. And this is what we call the Matiang'i wave. A strong feeling that he could unite Gusii and lead opposition politics. But here is the problem. Gusii politics has always been divided. Governor Simba Arati quickly became the most visible leader of the region after winning Gusii governorship in 2022. Instead of working hand in hand with Fred Matiang'i, Arati started building his own base. He went to State House last week with the Gusii MCS, showing that he could work with the president while still being Raila's ally. And this left the Gusii people and Matiang'i looking isolated. When Gusii MCS stand with Simba Arati at State House and not with Fred Matiang'i, to me, it weakens Matiang'i's power at home. If your own region doesn't stand with you, how do you claim national leadership? And this is where the wave started dying. Another factor is Raila Odinga and President Ruto. I want to tell you that Raila's decision to work with government in certain issues like the State House interventions, it left Fred Matiang'i in the shadows. And now President Ruto, on the other hand, is deliberately using leaders like Simba Arati to cut Matiang'i down to size. The strategy is clear: to make Matiang'i irrelevant before 2027. And this is why we now see Gusii leaders smiling at State House while Matiang'i is left watching from the sidelines. It is politics of divide and rule. Simba Arati is not just another governor. He's young, aggressive, and has Raila's pressings. For many Gusii voters, he's the one in the field. Unlike the Fred Matiang'i, who has been silent for too long, I want to tell you that Arati's visibility makes him look like the kingpin of Gusii. And that reduces Matiang'i's influence. So, by aligning with Raila and sometimes with Ruto, Simba Arati is positioning himself as the bridge between the two giants. Matiang'i is therefore cornered, and if he attacks Simba Arati, he risks looking bitter. And if he keeps quiet, he fades more. Either way, Arati will benefit. Matiang'i also made mistakes. He stayed silent for too long, still is silent, thinking that his reputation could carry him. But politics is not about silence. It's about the presence. You have, inatakikana ukue kwa ground na watu waweze kukufili kwamba uko. Si mtu anakuja once, anaenda na nyamanza, then anarudi. So while President Ruto is moving across the country and Raila is mobilizing, I want to tell you that Fred Matiang'i has disappeared. When he comes back, the momentum is gone. I want to tell you that this silence has created a vacuum that Simba Arati quickly filled. And in Kenyan politics, vacuums don't last. Someone always takes that space. Can Fred Matiang'i bounce back? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. And the answer is yes. But it will not be easy. He must first reclaim Gusii without fearing. And I want to tell you that without his backyard, he has no national bargaining power. Na hii ndio kitu Gachagua amekuwa akimwambia kwamba panga nyumba yako, ukikuja pia sisi tuongezee. He needs to show that he is still the kingpin of Gusii, not Simba Arati. Number two, Matiang'i must build national networks. Working with Kalonzo, Rigathi Gachagua, Martha Karua, Eugene Wamalwa na other leaders, it is necessary. Kama inaitachika, itabidi sasa afanya. Number three, he must speak out. Silence has costed him. Now, he must speak boldly about national issues. So, is the Matiang'i wave dead? That's the question. At the moment, it's yes. It looks very weak. Simba Arati's rise has damaged it, and Ruto's strategies have weakened it. And Raila Odinga's balancing act has sidelined the silence, but politics ako. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's wait and see his comeback. If this is your first time here, kindly hit the subscription button, turn on the notification bell so that next time I do my videos, YouTube will notify you. Thank you and goodbye.